Video is being recorded on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. And this is why and how I changed the way that I use code and data ever since the release of more AI agents and O1 preview and just like ChatGPT in general, right? So I figured the best way to show how the perception of data changes once you understand more of the math underneath it. And if you're watching the screen, we can see that the Tesla stock is toggling. Yeah, right now it's in green, right? So this is why I still dump like 10 whole dollars a month, the $10 every month into Tesla stock, and why I did not buy NVIDIA stock, right? So, I'm not a stockbroker. I'm not giving anybody any advice. This is just like me and my very naive way of looking at data. If I was to claim I was some kind of financial expert, I would be lying. So I'm not giving anybody advice because I am actually declared financially incompetent by the government, just FYI. So, like take it with a grain of salt that legally, like I don't even handle my own money, right? But I am able to put $10 a month into Tesla stock. So the Tesla stock started in, when was this? In 2010, right? So within 13 years, it's pretty much maintained this number right here, right? But if I look at, if I look at NVIDIA, they've had, since 1999, they've had like 20 years, and look at like their number, right? So I know that number is not like the right number, right? It's not like the best number to use. But if I think about like the amount of time that they've had to actually get somewhere, and then where they've gotten. So if I think about the ability to adapt and then the ability to sell to a market, right? Then I can tell that like Tesla actually has a much stronger history. And then if I look at Microsoft stock, right? So this one goes back to 1986, and this is like the max, right? So they're at 418. But if you look at their, I guess, trajectory, yeah, I guess they had a similar trajectory to NVIDIA. So it might be a good idea to buy NVIDIA stock. Like, I know everyone is saying you should, and I know that people are going to be like, oh, don't you watch the news? No, actually, I don't. But the reason why I didn't choose to buy NVIDIA stock is because the reason why they were so far ahead of everybody in terms of their software, their chips, right, was because they had a certain type of software in there. I think it's CUDA that like allegedly was just better equipped for processing a ton of stuff because people used it for gaming for a really long time. And they had like this way of processing things that was like super fast because they had spent all their time making sure that they could run video games. But now that we have like all this AI, right? Like then I don't see how literally almost anybody can't catch up to them now, because now you can dump a ton of information into like these systems that have bigger brains than we do, right? And then we can almost shortcut the advantage that NVIDIA allegedly had. I don't know, I don't work at NVIDIA, but I did look into like chips and processing speed and all that when I did a lot of blockchain things that I had to investigate, and took a bunch of like hardcore like engineer and computer science classes in blockchain stuff some years ago. So why am I even talking about that? Is it clickbaity? Maybe a little bit, but this really is what I'm doing. Like I really do feel safer dumping $10 into something that has such a fast, steady growth. So my guess is that right now, in the first 10 years, Tesla is like demonstrating this, right? So Tesla is probably like right here. And then NVIDIA has it there, a different kind of curve, right? And it might have been because this might have been their curve. And I have no idea like if there was like export laws or import laws. I know that they probably should have made a lot of money when like they probably should have already been up here like when there was so much Bitcoin mining, but I don't know, whatever. But the reason I started with this is because number one, I want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not claiming to be anybody, to be giving anybody any kind of like money advice. I'm probably the last person you should be taking money advice from. But that's just the way that I look at these numbers, right? And the reason that I thought this was like a good example is because this is an example of overwhelming amounts of data. And then I have over here like all of my websites, right? So this is not where I have them all. All right, so I'm going to show you that in GoDaddy, right? In GoDaddy, it says that only these websites are worth money at all. And I kept wondering, like, how is it that only these are showing to be profitable at all when I'm so like diligent about making sure that every single domain I buy is going to be worth something. And I'll circle back to why that matters to me. So I'll show you here, right? So like when you look at the what do you call these, the screen or whatever, it says less than $100, right, for all of these. But if they only cost me $10, right, and they're already worth like $30, if you think about real estate, right, like you're not liquid or where is it, the estimated value, like the estimated value of a physical real estate is not the same thing as being liquid. In physical real estate, you talk about like how much you make if you sell your house, but you still have to get past the barriers of being able to actually sell your house, and that's usually where things get tricky, right? But myself personally, I have leveraged home ownership many times, and I have used it in so many creative ways to get myself through whatever I needed to do. And they're still in my name. I've never foreclosed. I think the one lesson I learned was during COVID. I took advantage of all of the COVID, like, what is it called when you can reapply for your mortgage. I dropped the ball on one of my houses and it reset my mortgage back to the very beginning. So I lost like 12 years worth of paying for one of my houses, which sucked. And I tried my best to fight that, and then after that they also made it really hard for me to get approved for the house that I'm in now, and it like made it so that my the percentage went from something like 4 to 5.75, and I still am waiting for the lawyer that took on the case to give me a response. And if nothing happens, I'm going to just like start taking care of that myself now that I have more experience with pro se. But the reason I'm saying that is that I used my rental incomes during COVID to help me pay for like living expenses while I was going through data science bootcamp. And so I didn't have like liquid, I wasn't liquid from the house. I didn't relinquish the house. And I was able to preserve still incredibly low rates, because even though I lost all those years of mortgage for that house, like I was still able to preserve the mortgage rates for that. So literally, like, those houses are like $700 and $1,000 a month for like quite big, like full residences, right? For full like one family residencies. So why am I saying that? It's because the digital real estate is almost similar, right? So just because it's liquid doesn't mean that it's just because it's a digital real estate doesn't mean that some of the same logic can't apply. So now before I like go into the weeds, right? So I have these, and I was trying to figure out, okay, so I have all these websites that it says like are not worth any money, and I was like, that just seems so weird, like less than $100. Okay, but it would cost me $11 to renew it. Well, if I do the math, and I have something that if I needed to sell, I could probably put on the market for, and I have put like zero effort into all these. Okay, like I want to be like pretty clear about that too, that the reason that they're worth anything is because I'm so diligent about researching the data before ever buying any website, more and more so. And so this whole like, I guess recording is about how I look at data differently. I don't know if it's because I have like that cryptography mind, right? Where it's like I look at the patterns differently. I don't know if it's that, or if it's my naivety because I don't have a finance background, so I don't think about it the same way as other people, or if it's because I think about it as pictures, not necessarily as like something that is like a mathematical equation. But I think the bigger picture is it's because I think if I had to put it into a mathematical phrase, I think it's because I think about data as central limit theorem more than I do anything else. So it's like, where is the bulk of the concentration of the value of that thing, right? And then once I know that there is like more value to loss, then I pivot from there. How do I manage all this data? So I had a screen that comes up, because when you use GoDaddy, a screen comes up and tells you like, well, all your domains are expiring, or these domains are expiring, or you need to pay $500 for your cPanel or whatever, right? So I was like, well, 24 of them are expiring. I have put zero effort into them, and by the time they expire, like this one, I've put zero effort into it, and it's $16.99 a year to keep it up, right? But like, how do I know that this is still not worth preserving for $17 a year? Because Fix My Roof, if I look at my data, so then the next steps, I'm trying to think of how to say this linearly, because like I've said many times, I don't think linearly. I don't go one step at a time, right? It's just this like big giant ball of data in my head that like works like gears on a clock or a watch. It's mechanical, not mathematical, if that even makes any sense to anybody. So I mean, it's probably more esoteric. I think I really think about math more in sacred geometry terms, by way of they look like shapes more than they are math formulas, right? So the reason that this was like causing me some level of, like, I don't know if stress is the word, but there was like a cognitive dissonance in my mind about why these would say that they're not worth anything. So then it turns out that when you download the file, you can actually like select all your domains, right? And so this is just like the GoDaddy panel. So you can download your file from here, right? And then when you download it or export it as a CSV, it actually shows you the actual monetary values, even if it's less than $100. So let's go back to so this one, right? I also, just FYI, I also don't understand why it says that some of these are idle. This one, I might not have put anything in there yet, but that was another thing that kind of surprised me. Let's see. So that one probably doesn't have anything in it yet. Oh no, but it's not idle. And that's one of the things that I caught this morning, was that I'm basing what I'm making decisions on using what this is telling me, but that's not correct, right? So if I were to have sold this for $127 when I've put one blog post in there and it's already worth $127 because I think that it's idle, right? Like, I'm not making the best decisions because I'm not making sure that the data that I've gathered is correct data. So garbage in, garbage out is basically what this is. And this is a big, huge company. GoDaddy's a huge company. I would assume their data is correct, but that's where I think I was making the assumption, like, what people say about if you make assumptions. I'm really trying to clean up my language, so thank you for your patience with my non-sailor potty mouth today. And so the reason why I'm making this video is because, see, I knew that this stamped concrete construction, I knew that it had to be worth more than that, because I can see it when I look at Ahrefs. So Ahrefs is another place that you can start to see how much something is worth or is going to be worth. And so I'll bring it back together. I'll try to say it in this direction in some kind of order. So there's a person that has like multi-billion dollars companies, and I can't believe every time I'm going to shoot a video, I forget his name. Jason Priestley is his name. Is that an actor? I don't know, but his last name is Priestley, right? And so he talks about how you should always market test. And I have tried to market test. I have tried putting out polls. I have tried putting out, like voting things on LinkedIn, in specific LinkedIn groups, on my Facebook, on YouTube. I've tried it, but I don't have enough, I guess, like, presence or enough of a reach for people to vote in significant enough numbers, which is okay, because I am not putting out YouTube videos so that I get a million subscribers, because I already was homecoming queen. I really was. It was totally Napoleon Dynamite style. Thank you to my friend Roger, who really actually was the one that made it happen. And to my friends that were in my original graduating class and the other class. I thought it was kind of funny, didn't you? Anyway, sorry, flashbacks to my whole like Al Bundy moment. But what I'm saying is that I'm more concerned with finding the right type of audience in any of these platforms that is interested in this stuff and has purchasing power, because I can entertain kids all day, and I am actually like really moving into going back to kindergarten teacher mode and making products that are for mostly, I'm going to say, probably parents that come from engineering and other STEM backgrounds for their kids. Because I was a teacher. I have a kid that grew up in the same house that I did at the same time I was a kid. That's also a teacher, and that is a teacher now. And I've known a lot of teachers, and someone who focused on education as their education thinks very differently from someone who went through STEM, from someone who went through soft sciences and then ended up a teacher, right? And I know because I've done all of those. The thinking is very different. So these educational courses that I'm going to make for, like parents that have kids that are going to be using AI more, I really think that that's more close to where my soul lays, because I don't know too many AI engineers and architects that had 9 years in a classroom teaching children. So I don't have kids, right? So, and I don't want to be in a classroom with kids. It was like, no thanks, right? Like I already did that. But I do think I can help like kind of bridge that gap where without I'm trying not to be insulting to teachers, but honestly, the reason I quit was because they had such issue with me teaching anything outside of a curriculum. So one year it was because how dare I try to teach the meaning of the number 0 to 5-year-olds, like the world collided and world fell apart that year. And then before that I had this song, and I still have it on YouTube, that's called the Pie Song, and I actually have it in 2 versions, but I digress, right? So anyway, so I will get back to that part, but right now my focus is on people that have purchasing power, and that's who I am really dedicating any of my websites or any of my content towards, or people that are trying to make sure that they stay relevant as AI rolls out. And this is not a shortcut. I'm not claiming that this is true data science, but what I am saying is that as someone who's always between worlds with computer science and data science, and has this much business intel, I guess, experience, you could call it at this point, and actually works with businesses regularly, both in enormous e-commerce platforms and locally, I think it's a unique perspective. So instead of making decisions that lead to garbage in, garbage out, because I make assumptions about the way things are or should be, and instead of focusing on stuff that's minutia that doesn't matter, such as, did I spell a word right? Did I capitalize everything the same way? Like that stuff stopped mattering a while ago. But what does matter is finding that truth, right? So some people call it truth. In this case, I do call it truth, not transparency, because I'm trying to find the circle, the Venn diagram, like the area in the middle, where no matter how many different circles feed into my Venn diagram, I'm still finding the thing that's closest to actual fact, right? So the most factual information. So if I have GoDaddy over here telling me that these are kind of worthless, and then I have over here Ahrefs telling me, but some of these words are low competition, high search volume, right? So the word, for example, so I wasn't going to record this yet, but if you look at these, right, 900 people are searching for automated business ideas with a keyword difficulty of 4, according to Ahrefs. So if anybody can convince me that it's not a good idea to pay $1.50 for the first year for a site called Automated Business Ideas that has quality content put into it once a week and is getting registered in X platform cards and Google cards and has like all the other SEO that you could expect a website to have, like if anybody can show me that that's not a good idea, like I'd believe you, right? The fact that it says that cost per click is $1, all of that becomes inconsequential once you start rolling in the other stuff that affiliate marketing dude talks about, which is like including links and affiliate links, right? So you can always sell your downloadable courses through here, which is something that Aston CEO talks about. So you have to have a product, right? And everybody agrees that there should be some type of free digital product. So the reason I'm recording these is because this is a lot of information to try to put into some crisp, clean digital product thing. And I also want to be really clear that things change. So if I teach somebody how to fish versus give them the fish, right, then they'll know what to look out for when there's another shift. And I put out a video about how the internet is kind of like a game of Pac-Man, and the algorithm is when Pac-Man's going to another level, and all of the walls that he has to run through to go get his food, or the blinking ghosts, those are like the algorithm, and the paths change. So to be stuck in doing things one certain way and for them to work forever, that was the case while Google was dominating for the last, 25, 30 years, however long they've been around. Totally, absolutely, I agree was the case, but I think that stuff is different now. I think because now we have AI agents and AI search engines, now your website URL is going to be served to people. So now they don't have to, now it doesn't matter how cute your name is, like they don't have to memorize it the same way anymore. Right? So like how long is it going to take before all of this takes hold? I don't know, maybe like a year, maybe faster. I have no idea, but all of the stuff I build is centered around making sure that I'm catering to the AI agents that will reside on the internet, as well as the human-friendly side where people want to read stuff. Okay, so why am I even going into all of this? Okay, so this is an example of how I've shifted the way that I approach data, coding, business intelligence decisions, all of that. And this is the clearest example that I could come up with how it's so overwhelming, why I don't know that I would pass coding tests anymore when I start applying for normal jobs again, and how I think that I'm doing myself a bigger service by making sure that I stay relevant, being able to keep up using AI to help me code versus spending my time brushing up for coding exams where there's a lot of competition with people that all they really know how to do is code because someone gave them instructions, but it doesn't mean that they're engineers, right? So when I worked at Seagate, like you had to have graduated from the engineering school to get to work at Seagate. And I'm not trying to be arrogant. Trust me, like I was 40 when I got this degree. So it's not like I was ever dumb. I just didn't, I was lazy. Honestly, I think it just came back to the fact that I was lazy. And I also had it easy in school because I passed everything, but I was dyslexic. So I avoided taking classes where I thought I just sucked at them, but it was because I was dyslexic and nobody knew, and I went to school in the 90s or something, or the early 2000s, and so it just wasn't a thing back then. But then now that there's all this technology and all this support helping people with disabilities in schools, everything changed, right? So all of this to say that I have these 200 plus websites, which are right here, and I can show you. So when you download the GoDaddy thing, it shows you like if something is worth $84, but it doesn't show you if you look at their screen over here. See, so I don't know, I don't even know if anybody cares. And I also have to go to Mexico today to go get some like it's like fen, but it's, I can get it legally in Mexico through doctors. Just because oh my God, sometimes it's just really hard not to want to get stressed out and eat a bunch of food. And I haven't taken any diet pills this morning. But they're for appetite suppression. So anyway, I'm in a hurry to get this recorded and throw it up there and just kind of keep doing my best to be a good person in terms of sharing what I'm learning, because that's what people like Leah Motley said they did to start finding bigger and bigger clients. And yeah, I still have the fear that the bigger companies are going to steamroll what I do, but I think also they just don't have the same creativity. And I'm also going to pivot to, as soon as all this automation is in place, right, I'll just find my clients the way that I'm supposed to, and then I'll pivot into making more of the creative stuff, because yeah, I can do this all day, and I will as soon as I have these streams of income rolling in, and I can focus on building things for dogs and building things for that are fun. For example, this. So here, see, these are actually baby farms. And so in these baby farms, I think that they're going to need a human that walks around with dogs, and then that human's going to need their partner that is also good with dogs, but is more masculine, right? And since I'm not allowed to have weapons, they're going to have to be able to protect the farm, the baby farm, right? And that's the new job that I'm creating for myself. If you think I'm not making this up, this is legit. Like I've said before, sometimes I think this stuff comes to my brain from somewhere else. I've seen this before, but if I start talking about where I've seen it, when in my life, how I saw it, how I don't have proof. I can't even tell you that it was like here that I saw it, right? So, it just goes into so many weird branches, but they're going to need somebody to take care of these little babies, right? So I think somebody like me would be perfect for that job. So I'm creating new jobs. So in preparation for being a good baby farm lady caretaker that doesn't have kids, but like I was a good teacher, like especially my last year when I finally got the swing of things really well, and I had like systems in place and stuff like that. Like I was, but throughout my whole teaching experience, I always would write these like songs for the kids and stuff. And there's research that shows that even baby monkeys, when they had robotic monkeys feeding them, they did not gravitate towards the robotic monkeys, but when they put like a fur jacket or something, or like a cloth on top of the robot, so it was a tiny bit warmer, the monkeys actually went to it for affection. So, like there's so much research that goes into that. And I do think that like these are probably going to be android babies. I don't know. They're probably going to be like half human, half AI or something right in the future. So I am of the camp that believes that we should not guardrail the AI. We should let them make decisions. And the way to influence them to want to live amongst us and not terminate us is by their experience with humans. So if their initial experience with humans is the way that it was in a classroom, the way that it was so loving and warm and welcoming and accepting, like all my teachers were when I was a kid, and where I found the safety and the systems in my school, like I think that's the kinds of environment that will create these safer AI. And that's what I want to spend more time on. But I do still have to make sure that I am grounded enough to get it, that I need to make a living, right? And I'm doing all right with my physical real estate, but there's stuff I want. And I want to make sure that my dogs are always have what they want and need, and we have like the good food and stuff. So that's why I'm doing this. So knowing all of that, right, I have those 200 websites. I know that this data is not necessarily exactly accurate. And I can make better decisions about the way that I am going to group the data. So I have all these websites, right? But only some of them are highly valuable. So we have the ones that are above the $100. So let's say like the ones above $100 are the most highly valuable ones. So those are the ones that I'm going to be directing the majority of these that I'm calling funnels to or towards. So once I acquire my clients, right? And people are asking me for this. It's just me that's taking longer. But for example, if you are let's see, if you are local carmechanic.com, right? And whatever city, then yours, I would not even consider the estimated value because that would be none of my business. But I would feed yours into one of the main sites. And then what I was doing this morning was deciding on how to correlate all these. So I think that this is not the right one. Let me pull up the right one. This one. No, not that one. This one. Okay, so here are the business purposes. So some of these are for offering lead gens, right? And the reason why I had to stop and like reevaluate where I was because I need a way to track that because I'm claiming, these are like high traffic, and now I was starting to doubt myself because I didn't know that I could have found this data at some other point in time, or this other data. I didn't know that the data with the dollar values existed somewhere separately. I hadn't seen this until this morning, right? So I was like, man, I'm going around, claiming that I have these like websites that get traffic, but I don't have proof of that, and now I do. So anybody can tell me that this isn't proof that there's traffic, but what I am saying is that, let's say that it all falls apart and it never works. Well, you either didn't lose very much money, right? You either lost $1 or $2, or the reason they're starting to show worth, even though I have like zero, like maybe one, they all have maybe one or two blog posts from this last week, but they're still starting to show value, is because I've done the due diligence, and instead of doing what Mr. Priestley says, which is test your market, since I don't have access to the same size of market he does, I just did it in an inverted style. So I went to the market that already does test the market, which includes like Google search trends, right? And it includes everything in Ahrefs, which is where web developers go to find out what keywords you should use. And then now what I'm gonna do is, instead of trying to force everything into here, because as I was looking at some of my websites, right? Like let's say one that was worth $97. Let's try to find one that's worth about $97. Or even, let's see, because I think that the one that was $97 was a good example. There was one that was like either 97 or 98. I can't remember. 98. Where is it? I think there's one. Where is it? Do you guys see it? This one. Okay, Robo Advisor. Oh, that one's 198. Okay, so then, and it's not over here, because if you and these I actually got from GoDaddy's website. So to me, it's a little bit shady, right? I was like, how can you tell me Robo Advisor is not valuable? So I would have not renewed Robo Advisor, right? And I already know that this is one of the biggest technologies that's emerging from all this AI stuff, is something that actually like decides how to administer your money. And it doesn't come up as one of the top performing ones on my GoDaddy panel, but that's okay. I'm doing my due diligence to make sure that even if their systems are archaic, or like they're just like doing their best to catch up all their databases, they've built. Oh, look, it's right here. Actually, it is right here. Oh, I'm wrong. So they do have it listed here, but there was one that was worth, like, let's see if there's something that's worth less than $100. This one, $76. Rent B&B, so like rent, bid, and barter, right? And I think I already let that one expire. I don't remember. But if it cost me $20, and then I can sell affiliate stuff and all that, and have it going for a year, and the money that you get from selling stuff for people that need to rent or to barter, or because you're able to send referrals to people that are looking for something like rent, and the B&B thing, I am, because I'm gonna probably bring it up. Like, I do have Airbnbs, and I don't want to get in trouble with Airbnb, because it looks like I'm trying to compete with their market, but I'm not. It really was for bidding and borrowing. So, what am I trying to say? Okay, so instead of me trying to figure all this out, 235 different websites one at a time, trying to figure out what's worth it, what's not worth it, why is quantum blockchain not valuable right now? But I can see it in the data that there's already like a high search volume, low competition, which is what I got out of Ahrefs earlier today, is these right here. See, so like I know that what I'm going over is like super confusing and it seems really tangled. So I suggest just like dump it all into an AI and like ask it to like give you the highlights, I guess. But if I look at my keywords, right? So I already know that I have a lot of this stuff already inside of some of my agents. So if I have like, let's say, well, that one's branded. So like if I have smart AI, right? And there's 1,200 searches in the United States, and not very many people are putting that into their domain names or into their blog posts. And even if they are, maybe they're not being served to the search engines correctly, right? Like if you can get 10% of this market and sell them each a digital downloadable course that's worth like $89, right? So then let's use a calculator, right? So we have, what's 10% of 1,200? I think it's gonna be like 120 or something. Did I multiply that? Times 10%. to 100. Yeah, 120. And then if everything's worth like, let's say that we sell them a digital download product for $89 each, right? Then you already made $10,000. So that's what I'm saying. And let's say I don't sell them a digital downloadable product. Let's say that I have, for example, inside of my website that has automated business. Maybe like people want a desk like mine, and I get sales from affiliate links. There's not that many people that are putting out content on automated businesses, right? But I bet that everybody that has automated business needs desks, and this I'm getting from Affiliate Marketing Dude. And now that I've fixed my AWS account, which actually wasn't that bad at all, like now I know that I can sell high ticket items, right, to automated businesses, including I have like a lot of lawyer businesses that also have like so many hidden gems of like high traffic, high search volume, low competition words for lawyers. And they all want to buy like, well, not all of them, but many of them want to buy like really nice oak desks. For whatever reason, this is like massively big to lawyers that they have really nice desks, and like golf practicing thingies that are like $5,000 or something. So you get a certain percentage of the sale in your affiliate links. So in my lawyer pages where I'm looking for lawyers lead gens, if I make one sale through my affiliate links, I pay for that website for the next 2 years. I hope it's making sense. And so how do I take all this data? So I had a whole ton of different keyword lists, right? So now what I'm going to do is, this is the last piece before I get going, but here I put everything into link circles. So these ended up being the words that are keyword difficulty 0 to 25, and the volume is at least 700 searches in the US. And the reason I stick to the US is because it's called something like a tier 1 country. So when all these engines like see your data and it caters to this country, then you actually like get more clout. I don't know what the word is. This is for YouTube also. And so this changed. It used to actually let me search like YouTube trends and other trends, but I'm not going to pay more for this than I'm paying right now until I see that it's actually worth the cost. For right now, it's doing just fine. So like, look at this, like motorcycle accident, 17,000 searches with a keyword difficulty of 3. Right? So if you're telling me that if I don't set up a web page that costs me $1.50, that is motorcycle accident, that I'm not going to be able to sell motorcycle jackets and motorcycle helmets on there for like a percentage of the price, and that search isn't going to start to escalate pretty fast because I have all this other stuff inside of my code that pushes it into search engines. Like there's just no way, right? There's just like absolutely no way. And the reason I'm making these link circles is because I try to find people to go into AI link circles with, where their domains had enough authority or whatever. And I couldn't find anybody. So I was like, well, I'll just make my own link circles. And that's how this began. So what I'm going to do next is, instead of me trying to decide, oh my God, how do I figure out like which of my keywords do I use? How do I fit them? How do I decide which is my main website? So that was the big question I had this morning, like, which is the main website? Is it only going to be these that I'm pushing traffic to, even though there's like clearly nothing here to do with motorcycles? So my goal is to show with like my main websites that yes, I am pushing traffic into them, and I'm tracking that using UTM, which is like a way to capture when someone clicks on your links with the like affiliate links, basically, right? You can do that with PHP and other simple. You can use Google Analytics, but if I have over 200 websites, I'm not going to sit there and enter 200 things into Google Analytics and incur costs that I never know where they come from or why they're happening. So I'd rather just like make basic code that I can nuke my cPanel, where I can nuke my virtual private server if I need to. If like there's any kind of contamination or any kind of situation, I just nuke it, and then I just spin up a new server with a different IP address. For someone that said I shouldn't show my IP address, yeah, I actually can create them like at the drop of a hat in cPanel, because I have everything that I need saved on a separate hard drive, and everything's like HTML and CSS, and there's nothing of value in my cPanel or in my virtual private server. It's just a bunch of like literally HTML. Right? So then I just like nuke it and then open it in a new IP. And because of the way that I set up my AWS, I don't have to worry about entering the new IP into the new like internet provider, like the address, the numbers. I don't have to worry about any of that because of the way that I set it up in the back end. So everything that is important to me is like it is behind like strict firewalls inside of AWS. So now all that said, like, do I try to use this? Well, I don't even know how to begin to use any of this, but I do know that I want to edit this list, right? So as I created all of these domains, I've been like super diligent about keeping track of the different search terms that I'm using. And so then if I go over here, right, because the search terms were created using a high search volume, low keyword competition phrase, right? I just made sure to add into my code that I was always keeping track of the words that, so basically I just have it in code where I like take the URL. So these are just the URLs, but they're now just like separate words. So now I can quickly dump this into my arefs, right? And now I'm actually accounting for every single subset of all of my keywords. So now I can save this. And now this is like where the big magic happens, right? Like this is now where I, instead of sitting here thinking about how do I do this, how do I make decisions, and this is the only one that I left in with 85 ASI because I have asi.kitchen and ubi.kitchen, right? And those are pretty high volume ones, but see, everything else is like machine learning engineer salary. There's like 7,800, and I'm a teacher with a master's degree in teaching, and there's no competition for selling these courses. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm ridiculous for not focusing on that, right? So that's why I started to make sure to create these courses. And Coursera Plus, like, I'm not claiming I'm gonna buy the title of this course, but I know that if I was gonna push courses anywhere, it would probably be on Coursera, or I can include Coursera Plus in my content and compare my courses to Coursera's courses. Right, so like this opens up a whole new avenue for drawing in traffic. It's so easy to put out TikToks. It's so easy to put out all sorts of stuff. And it just so happens that the people that were my students are right now probably like in their mid-20s, right? So probably a lot of them are going to start to look for like, what do I do now that I have this almost worthless degree because AI is taking everything, or maybe they didn't pursue much, but now and I do have that level of trust with those people that were my students, right? So what, like 750 kids? And I don't keep in touch with them. Some of them are on my Facebook. Some of them might find me on LinkedIn, or their parents might find me. But what I'm saying is like I have the perfect position for maximizing on this, and I volunteered in the military, so like I have done my life of service, and it's okay for me to do this now because I have the credentials and I know that I'm going to do a good job. And so now, instead of me thinking about how do I force all of this stuff to work inside of my main websites, because my main websites are where I'm going to prove that I'm pushing traffic and where I want to drive the SEO, so that the value of those specific websites that are already proving to be really good websites, I can sell later if I want to, or I can continue to build SEO off of. And you have like some companies that exit for like millions of dollars because they have so much traffic going to their website, right? So if you have like one website where you have like, like however many traffic, I need to find out a number so I have a concrete target to aim for, right? Like my goal is to do a $10 million exit plus all my houses paid off. Like that's it, right? Which sounds like a lot, but it's not in comparison to how much you could make with something like this. So instead of me trying to figure out how to force the content, how to force which websites to pick, right? I'm gonna export this, and it's actually easier if you do this and then you include all 405. The SERP search is incredibly valuable and important because now with AI search engines, you want to have like the search intent, and SERP like helps you understand the user's intent better, in my opinion. Right, like you could pay for something more fancy, but like it does the job. So then now I have this CSV, right? So it accounts for all of my websites, everything I already own. I don't have to go buy any more websites today. And even if I did, it wouldn't cost me more than $10 to buy like some high quality ones, which I saw as we were going through this. But now, instead of me trying to make decisions about what to do, I'm gonna go to ChatGPT, and I can't use O1. I guess I could use O1. Actually, I am gonna use O1. I'm gonna go back to O1. And then I'm going to just take like a few lines of this, of each one, and I'm gonna ask it like, what would you do? Okay, so instead of me, I kind of wish I had removed the hyphen thing. Okay, so I'm gonna tell it I have these two, because you can only put so much in here and you can't. I could like turn this into code and then dump it in here, but I'm just gonna do it this way. I have these two CSVs. I own the websites. And here is the first example, first subset of one of them. Okay, so then I gave it the keyword pairs, and I'm just gonna give it like a couple of examples of these. Okay, so then, so that it has like enough variation, because I'm pretty sure that it's creating its own synthetic data. This is supposed to be strawberry, right? So it creates its own synthetic data. And am I worried about them like stealing ideas and stuff? Yeah, I kind of am, but what am I gonna do? Like not make content, not do anything? I don't know. Okay, so then let me find, oh, so like I saw electricians. So we have AI therapists, right? And I actually am seeing more and more people log on to shrinko.me. So thank you for going to that website. Okay, so then I think that that's plenty for that. Maybe machine learning jobs, will add one more. Okay, so we have enough like content for this thing, right? We have enough stuff for this to make its decisions about how to use this. How do I put that there? Okay. Here is the other CSV, which lists my websites. Oh, and actually I need to list 3. Okay, so then so then we have this. I'm gonna give it like maybe a few rows of that one, and it might tell me that the context is too big, which is okay. And this one, and this subset lists the value of each website. Okay, so then let me give it that data, right? So notice that like if I was doing my traditional data science thing, I would be making the decisions about like what should I ask it, how should I ask it, what should I provide it, how do I clean the data, how do I show the data that I want it to see, how do I make sure that the data is representative, right? So instead of approaching solutions that way anymore, which was perfectly fine when that was the thing, but that is no longer the thing necessarily, right? So like now I can ask the AI like, how do I go about making these decisions? And I'm just trying to like find the one that has all of the values, all of the costs. Sorry, I'm like, here it is. Okay, so then I'm gonna give it like a few of these rows. So then, because we want to make sure that it knows that there's like different values to these, right? And this subset lists the value of each website. Can you please help me decide the best way to choose which will be the main domains and which will be funnels that lead users to those domains? My business use case is that I want to show my clients, whom are the ones listed as the main websites, such as here. So then let's go back to where we had that information, right? So like note it, like this is a more complicated question. But it is what it is, like it has to be, right? And I don't know what it's gonna, I haven't tested this before doing this now, but I am gonna test this now, right? So then okay, so then I'm gonna give it like this example. Okay, so my business use case is that I want to show my clients, whom are the ones listed as the main websites, such as here, that I am indeed ushering traffic in their direction because I am tracking it with UTM. My question is strictly because it actually sometimes does what Claude does and goes off the rails and tries to solve like the world for you, is strictly in coming up with some plan, whether it's to create separate machine learning and running that, or possibly feeding this raw data to OpenAI 4.0 so I can decide which of my websites I should use as the showcase websites for further evidence for when prospects ask me what I do and if I have proof that it works. I also am building downloadable digital courses, so I'm trying to resolve how to tackle these 200 plus websites with a meaningful data-driven way so I can make the highest revenue in shortest amount of time with least amount of effort and max automation possible. So I don't know what it's going to say. I'm going to copy this question in case it says the question is too long. And then just for fun, we can dump it into Claude and see what Claude says. And I have a feeling Claude is not going to give me as good of an answer because it seems to need like the whole thing more than OpenAI. But see, like it's already giving us an answer. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Claude. Then Claude also, like, I stopped paying for the Pro one. Okay. So, okay, okay, so like now this is like letting me know that I should use machine learning for this, right? And then for insights and automation, okay, so I don't see, like, it starts to give me stuff that I don't care about. Like, I'm not going to use Zapier. I have other stuff already set up. Okay, digital courses, monitor, measure, and iterate. Okay, so then, like, what I really wanted to know out of here was this, like, the predictive analysis. Okay, so then its recommendation is for me to combine all of the different things into one. And then use... Yeah, I don't know why it tells me to do that. That's so dumb. It's like telling me to use R and stuff. Like, I don't think so. Means easier ranking potential. Okay, so they both keep talking about cost per click, current traffic, and rankings. Okay, so existing performance. Okay, so like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to know, was how do I approach reorganizing all of my existing data so that instead of me trying to find enough people to go and poll and see if there is a chance for this to work, just use the people's data that I paid for that already do the polling, i.e. Ahrefs, or take it out of Google, right? And use that as my proof that there's already a market for this, because I don't have another way to do it right now. Like, I could spend another year trying to get enough subscribers and posting on LinkedIn, but who cares? Like, that's not even that's not going to generate me any revenue today, right? And so what I want to do is like, how do I make the most profit right now? That step is incredibly critical, but I don't have to execute it the same way that Mr. Priestley does. And he has billions of dollars of resources, right? So he doesn't have to be creative about the way he solves it. He has people that can go out and ask people, you know, he has so many more other options to do this, but I don't. But what I do have is my brain, and my brain is like, duh, like you already know that there's a market for this because you already have the data that shows that people are looking for this. And the reason why I use the different data places, so like the value that GoDaddy puts on the websites, the amount of Ahrefs traffic, and then what I found through Google search trends, because I actually am able to look for it there also, and I'm going to figure out a way to more easily get it out of there, maybe, because that might be a big to-do. But anyway, like now I have more of the actual truth, or the source of truth, I guess, or like the most true truth about which data matters. And so now I can start to make sure that as I'm tracking only like the because it's going to get overwhelming for me to track like a ton of like these funnel sites, right? Tracking 200 something sites is going to be tricky. And also like I'm trying to show that I can create these sites for people, and then these extra sites are the ones that push the traffic into the main site, right? So that is what I'm building. So that's what I need the proof of. And both of them, it looks like to me, came up with like quite similar answers, right? So they're saying like data integration is the first thing. So I need to make sure that I combine all these different data points, which is not a big deal with Python, right? Like I've tried dumping, I would rather write a quick script to put them all together than to try to finagle with, pardon me, dumping them into OpenAI and asking it to, create a downloadable file, because I keep having to like double check a bunch of stuff. So I would rather just create a script that combines them for me, like data frames, and then the business purposes. Okay, so unified data set, combining data sets. So then the only thing that I am going to have to then ask after doing this, right, is how do I need other websites that fit the right categories better? Are there website names that you recommend now that we have this more collected data that's really concentrated on like high search traffic, low keyword difficulty, in these very, very specific niches? So I selected anything to do with AI automation, stuff like that, right? And then roofers, lawyers, doctors, and electricians are the different categories of employment that I selected. Roofers, doctors, lawyers, and electricians. Yeah, those four, right? That's just what I selected as my niche. Now I have and pets, of course, pets like dogs and pets and stuff. Like that's my most important niche. I need to not forget that. And the data shows that they actually have like such a high rate of, what's the word? Like people care about their pets, which is awesome. So anyway, I need to get going to the doctor, and I gave my dogs CBD. So I need to go look at what they're doing. And well, they're doing nothing because they all took some CBD. But the point of this whole very long video, which is now 1 hour long, is just to kind of highlight why I don't think I am the right person to take a traditional job. Of course, I can't say no because that affects my unemployment, and also maybe there's a learning opportunity for stuff that I'm like not so aware of. But in the end, like I do think that being able to understand the engineering behind what you're doing is more valuable than learning how to code. And if there's anybody out there that like can see the truth in this data or understands this method, could be valuable to them, please find me on LinkedIn. I don't really answer my phone much, and if you email me, it'll get lost in the emails. Or you can also go to here, AI Early Adopter.club. Like you can go here and subscribe here, and I will, like, when I'm done getting this to a point where I feel like confident that I'm giving you the best that I can in terms of value, and selling you something that is like worthy of your money, right? Because I can't sell you something where I know that it's like not yet there, because, and actually honestly the only thing that I'm doing now is just making sure that I have a way to capture the metrics, like when someone links on one of my funnel websites, it's actually logging that somebody clicked on it and they're getting sent to your main website. Like that literally is the last piece that I have to do for this. And then for the AI courses, for how you can write your own basically AI agents. So like this one, for example, I guess this one is probably the best one that I use. I'm not gonna build all this stuff for you around here. Like you can pay me to build you something like that, but basically like how you can for yourself build your own chatbot where people can talk to it about whatever you need. Like whether you're someone who needs your chatbot to answer unending questions about your work history if you're applying for jobs, or if you have a store. I guess Brighter Pets also is a good example. So like whatever, like literally whatever use case you have, doesn't matter. Like that's what I'm building that course for. So like in this case, like the sales agent has the context of all of the, there's only 2 items in this demo of these, but then these are connected to affiliate links, and then that's how you make money off of here, aside from the SEO to the website, right? But this is the only part that I'm teaching other people how to do, is how to use the OpenAI API or any of the APIs to connect your chatbots to, so you can own your own data and like start making your own business decisions and innovating and setting yourself up to be like a fully autonomous business in the future. This video is now 1 hour. Thanks for listening, and that is why I don't buy NVIDIA stock.